Welcome to the TMZ podcast. I'm Wyld Young here with Serenity Glanton.
Hi, Wyld.
We're in for Charlie and Charlie today. I know I said one of the Charlies will be back today, but it's not happening. Charlie Neff is out. Charlie Cotton is out. But Serenity's here.
I'm here.
Serenity's one of our news desk newsmakers. So she has all the inside tea, inside sources. She be knowing stuff. All right, we have some really exciting stories for you guys today. Lizzo has finally spoken out about the sexual harassment lawsuit. Lizzo did an interview with Keke Palmer, said she was blindsided by the whole ordeal. Tell you more. Wendy Williams, surprise, made a rare public appearance at her son Kevin Hunter Jr.'s graduation in Florida. A lot of people were shocked to see her. She looked good too.
She does look good.
We'll tell you all about it. And oh my God, Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom went to the Usher concert. And if you know anything about the Usher concerts, you know they are like sexual.
Cherries.
Usher has his little bowl of cherries that he passes around. Well, Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom got hot, steamy at the Usher concert. It's good. Stick around to the end. But first, y'all, Lizzo, she sat down with Keke Palmer for Keke Palmer's Baby. This is Keke Palmer's podcast. And Lizzo opened up about those sexual harassment claims. You guys remember in August 2023, a number of Lizzo's former dancers filed a lawsuit against her alleging sexual and racial harassment, which is kind of interesting.
Crazy.
The claims were that Lizzo exposed them to like inappropriate materials. There were claims that when they were on trips, particularly in Amsterdam, Lizzo made them go and watch these very sexually charged shows. At one point, they said that there was a woman doing weird things to her vagina, just like very sexually explicit events and things that the dancers claimed that Lizzo forcibly subjected them to, meaning that they had to come to these things. There was also accusations of like fat shaming and body shaming. Also seems a little weird. Considering.
Yeah.
Lizzo has now spoken out for the first time, and here's what she said.
I was completely surprised.
Really?
I was very deeply hurt because, these were 3 ex-dancers, so they weren't on the tour. They didn't finish the tour out with us. But even regardless of that, these were people that I gave opportunities to. These were people that I liked them and appreciated them as dancers, respected them as dancers.
I feel like this is probably the best place for her to say something.
Okay.
I feel like her waiting for a while, kind of waiting for it to die down, and then going on like Keke Palmer, who also has, faced a lot of backlash with her, things that are going on in her life. So I feel like it was kind of like the perfect place and enough amount of time to do this. And it's kind of nice to finally hear her side of it and see how it affected her, because it's been kind of quiet and people have been kind of giving her backlash for that. Like, oh, what's she so quiet for? Why are you not saying nothing?
Mm-hmm.
So now that she has said something, it's like now we can kind of see where her mind is.
So I actually disagree with what you said at the top. So you said it was cool for her to go on Keke Palmer's show. No. The one thing I hate is what do I call them? They're like what's the word? I had it in my brain this morning. Basically these soft interviews where people go, safe space interviews. That's what I call them.
Mm-hmm.
They're safe space interviews where people that are involved in things that might be controversial or a little scandalous, they'll go to safe space interviews, meaning interviews with their friends, interviews with outlets that they know don't ask them serious and deep questions, interviews with non-journalists so they don't have to get the follow-up questions. I think that Lizzo did this, and it's smart for her to not do it with a Gayle King or a
We saw how that worked out
us.
for Megan.
You know what I'm saying? Because journalists are journalists.
Right.
So you can't just say, Lizzo says, oh, well, at one point Keke Palmer asked her oh, did you know about this at all? And Lizzo was like, no, I was completely blindsided by the lawsuit. I didn't know about it until everyone else knew about it. It's possible, but it's also a pretty good chance that the lawyers reached out to her legal team. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then a good journalist would have asked that. A good journalist would have also asked, were there any complaints during the thing? You know what I'm saying? And Lizzo did say that she did not force anyone to go to these things. She said it was kind of silly and ridiculous. She at no point made anyone go watch these banana.
That comment I did feel was a little bit, I wouldn't want to go as far as to say inappropriate, but it's just because you didn't make it mandatory doesn't mean that they weren't uncomfortable while you were there.
Yeah, because
that doesn't change anything.
Right. One of the complaints was that Lizzo made them watch a sex show where a woman inserted a banana into her vagina.
Yeah.
Like
maybe they knew they were going to something you know, a little bit raunchy, but like the
Mhm.
extent of it made them uncomfortable.
Made
You know,
them
you could always like pull out of your consent at
Right.
any moment.
I will say though, I low-key think I don't think Lizzo thinks she did anything wrong. Like, I
That's
genuinely
definitely
think
what
that,
I'm
like
giving
yeah, I
or
genuinely
getting.
think that Lizzo didn't have ill intentions. I don't think that she wanted them to feel uncomfortable, but this is one of those things where it's like, you're the boss and you cannot be friends with your employees
Mhm.
because, like, even though this seems like a friendly event, like friends hanging out, we all kinda cool, y'all are my dancers, you're still their boss, and you still pay them, and you still employ them, and there are still, like, kinda like rules that you need to follow as a boss. Anyway, the attorneys for the dancers have fired back, and they are like slamming Lizzo's Keke Palmer interview. The attorney said, there is a power dynamic in the boss-employee context that Lizzo utterly fails to appreciate. We stand by the claims in the lawsuit, and we are prepared to prove everything in court with Lizzo on the stand under oath before a jury of her peers, not spouting nonsense and lies rationalizing a failure to take accountability on the podcast.
Hey.
So the attorney for the dancers are still planning to come at Lizzo in full force.
It's not the end.
Not the
but
end.
at least we now have her.
I guess
She's finally said something.
Right. Wendy Williams made a rare public appearance this week. Serenity, what can you tell us?
So she's obviously dealing with her own issues. We saw her
Mhm.
earlier this week in the back of a car in Miami, but now she's at her son's graduation.
Mhm.
She's looking good, smiling. I'm assuming, you know, she's a proud mom, but it's actually really interesting considering the fact that like just last week they said she was like permanently incapacitated and now we've seen her twice. So it's like, does she go in and out of incapacitation? Like what are we dealing with here?
So last week, or recently, reports came out that Wendy was, like Serenity said, permanently incapacitated, which implies that someone is essentially like unable to do most things. When you say incapacitated, that means they have no capacity to do anything for themselves. We have now seen Wendy Williams twice since then. So the photos of her that we got of her, and you guys are listening on audio, go to YouTube, TMZ, the podcast on YouTube. You see her, like, she looks really alert. Like, at one point, I did see some videos online of her and like her engaging with the people that she was with. She was there with her dad, and it looked like some security guards, some other people on her team. She was like fine.
Mhm.
At one point, someone like offered her gum, and she was like, "No, I don't want no gum." But like, it wasn't at any point did it appear, at least on the surface, that she wasn't at least present in the moment.
Right.
So
I personally have never dealt with anybody with this, but degree of Grey's Anatomy. Did you watch Grey's Anatomy?
I did.
You know
Okay,
how
come on,
when
tell us,
Ellis
Dr.
Ray- when Ellis
Glanton.
Ray, she had like Alzheimer's, and there
Mhm.
would be days where she's thinking she's an intern and she's back in the day,
Yes.
and she's messing with Richard, and
Right.
Meredith's 4 years old, and all those things. And then next thing you know, like Meredith is in the home with her, and she's actually having a conversation with her. So it's like that's the only visualization of like Alzheimer's dementia that I have.
Okay.
So in comparison,
Serenity's medical knowledge, y'all.
comparison, it's like, okay, maybe that's like accurate representation of it, where sometimes they're literally like gone and they don't know what's going on, and then on other times they snap into a
that could
different
be could be the
mindset.
situation. Yeah, we don't really know. We'll have to kind of see how this plays out. I do love Wendy Williams though.
Yeah, and we miss her.
Let me tell y'all,
We miss Wendy.
Wendy would have been chewing P. Diddy's ass up on that purple
2024
couch.
would have been Wendy's year. Like, not having a Wendy interview this
Come
year
on.
is crazy because so much stuff has gone
Jeez,
on.
we need hot topics
Clap
now
your hands
more
if
than.
you think Luigi needs to get off.
That's what I'm saying. Come on, Wendy, where are you now that we need you more than ever? All right, last story, really quick. This is the hottest thing I've seen all day.
I love this video.
Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom, y'all. They were at Usher's concert recently. And like we talked about this earlier, Usher does this like little cherry on top segment. He brings out a bowl of cherries. They always dripping wet. Shiny cherries, looking good. I'm telling you, I don't know where they get these cherries from, but they always look like glistening.
Somebody's in the back.
Like shining them up. Anyway, these succulent cherries he brings out during every show, and then he typically will drop them in someone's mouth and like do this little like risque thing. Anyway, some way, somehow, Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom got a hold of these cherries, and they had the most intimate moment. It's kind of hard to make out the audio, but just bear with us for about 10 seconds. Here it is.
That redefines a chocolate cherry, I'm telling you.
So if you couldn't really hear what was going on, Katy Perry, first things first, Orlando Bloom got a cherry out the bowl. It was so sensual. Why is this so hot to me.
I don't know, and
Like-
when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, because I feel like they've been together for so long, but we don't really ever see them in this capacity.
And like this,
And
like
this is like one of those videos where you see and you're like, that's why they're together.
that's why they.
That's why they're together, because
I mean, that and the boat. We saw the photos of Orlando Bloom on the boat, and we see Katy Perry all the time.
right.
But anyway, so we see Orlando Bloom grabbing a cherry. Usher's even stunned. Like Usher is impressed. Orlando Bloom grabs a cherry. He takes a bite, hands his thing to Katy Perry.
He turns
and then
over.
Katy Perry reaches over. She bites the cherry, and then she takes the stem from her cherry and puts it in his mouth. TMZ podcast after dark. Let me tell you. And it's a really hot video. We ain't got nothing else to say about this story. It's just a good video.
It's so cute.
Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez were also there, which honestly, you know what? Hell yeah, I take that too. Like if
I'm really interested to see what their wedding is gonna be.
You know,
Because-
Katy and Orlando still aren't married either,
No,
even
they're
though they
not.
got engaged in 2019.
Yeah. Well, did they break up before they got engaged or after they got engaged?
I mean, I don't know. They've been on and off for the last 8 years, so they've been breaking up, getting back
Jeez.
together. They had the baby together.
But
They
it
got
works for some people. Like
does
some like
work.
Sarah Paulson and what's her name? Ruth?
I'm not really sure.
Holland Taylor.
Holland Taylor. Yes.
Yes. Oprah. You know, some people they just.
I don't think Oprah and Stedman engaged. I think Stedman just live in the back house.
Well, no, I'm just saying like long-term relationships. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, okay, like
getting
without marriage.
Some
Okay.
people, it just works for them.
Okay. All right. Well, Serenity, an audience. This will be our last TMZ podcast until next week.
Happy
'Cause the weekend is here.
holidays.
You do anything fun for the weekend?
No, I'm working.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm doing some Christmas shopping.
I'm done. I only
done
shop
Christmas
for one
shopping?
person.
I've been using the Rakuten thing to find the best savings because I'm poor. Not I'm poor, but I'm trying to save some money. But anyway,
It's important.
yeah, I'm doing some Christmas shopping this weekend.
Well, enjoy.
Okay.
Be working.
All right. For all of you guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us this week. We will see you all next week. Have a great weekend. Happy holidays. Bye-bye.